Hello and welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm your host, Morgan. And today we're talking about a story that's kind of been popping up in my Twitter feed every once in a while and kind of circulating in the little news sources that I check. And it's kind of interesting and mind-boggling, and every day something new seems to be happening, so let's discuss it. Of course, what I'm talking about right now is this massive metal monolith that kind of appeared out of nowhere in the Utah desert. So, without further ado, let's jump into this. Today we're going to begin our discussion of this mysterious monolith by kind of walking through the timeline. Now, I did grab the timeline off of the r/Utah Monolith subreddit that popped up as a result of everything we're going to talk about today. And any other news articles or anything that I used for reference are also linked down below if they're not easy to find in that subreddit itself. But a lot of the things I talk about are linked in the subreddit, so head on over there if you want to kind of dig a little deeper. This whole thing is just pretty surface level. So first things first, on November 18th, 2020, there was something mysterious reported in Utah by a biologist that had been taking part in a bighorn sheep count through the Utah Division of Wildlife Resources. And the helicopter that they were using was from the Utah Department of Public Safety. So this something mysterious was spotted from overhead in the Utah desert. On November 21st, 2020, the mysterious sighting was then reported on by KSL TV. Now, the biologist in question, according to my knowledge, hasn't been named and hasn't done any interviews or anything, but the helicopter pilot, Brett Hutchings, did give an interview with this initial report. And in that initial news article, they were intentionally vague about the location in an attempt to discourage people from trying to find the monolith, hiking out there, and ending up getting stuck in the desert. But people are people, and of course, they got curious. So on November 23rd, 2020, a couple days after that news story broke, the r/Utah Monolith subreddit was created. On that same day, because again, people are people, they get curious, the "Can we find it" post was made. And it only took about a day because on November 24th, 2020, one Reddit user answered that "Can we find it" question by pinpointing the location of the monolith on Google Earth. Now, the screenshot of this post and the Google Earth stuff should be popping up somewhere around this area at this moment so that we can kind of look at that together. So, as you'll notice, the monolith itself is not like on a hiking trail or anything to my knowledge. It just had the coordinates. But also by digging through that Google Earth data, on that same day, they determined that the monolith had to have been installed sometime after August 2015. So the monolith was at least a few years old. So they gave us that window of August 2015 to like early 2016-ish for when it was probably installed, meaning that it went unnoticed for about 5-ish years. Moving forward, on November 27th, 2020, the monolith was reported stolen. And of course, there were people who were like outraged. They thought the whole thing was cool. There have been people that hiked out and taken selfies and things like that with it in the few days before it was stolen. The land that the monolith was on is managed by the Bureau of Land Management, BLM, and the BLM did put out a statement after the reports of the stolen monolith saying that the monolith was private property, illegally installed, and they don't deal with theft of private property, so it would be on law enforcement to take that up, which as of right now, I don't think they did, and it's highly unlikely law enforcement will actually take that case up. This brings us to December 1st, 2020. There were more reports that popped up of another monolith, but this time in Romania. Now, there's not really a whole lot more to say about that incident other than some people are saying, oh, it's probably just a copycat. Some people think it was the original creators of the monolith took it out of Utah, then moved it. To be honest, I don't think we'll ever really know, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So, December 3rd, 2020, another monolith pops up, this time in California, specifically on top of Pine Mountain. Now, there are a couple of hikers in the area that had hiked the trail up to the top of Pine Mountain on December 1st and said that on that day, the monolith wasn't there. So the monolith had to have been installed probably sometime on the 2nd or the night of the 1st, but that is a fairly popular hiking location for that area. So at this moment in time, we had that monolith in Romania and the one in California, which is interesting enough in its own kind of thing that this mysterious metal pyramid thing keeps popping up. Well, evidently some people were very offended by the monolith because on December 3rd, the monolith in California was destroyed by a group of these racist young men that evening. And the reason why we know it was a bunch of racist young men, well, those freaking geniuses videoed the event. And if you head on over to the subreddit, there are links to their video. I don't really want to post it here because, like I said, they were being very racist in the video. And the reason we're saying that is because in the video, right before they kind of shake it and knock it down and take weird photos with their feet on it like it's a hunting trophy. We all know how I feel about we all know how I feel about trophy hunting. I think it's kind of gross. But one of them said, "Christ is king in this country. We don't want illegal aliens from Mexico or outer space." And then they shook it down and put up a wooden cross in its place. So the whole thing here was that they were being racist, and one of the theories about the original monolith was space aliens, but again, we'll get into the theories in just a second. So these guys destroyed the monolith, put up a wooden cross in its place because America. And so as of today, December 4th, there is a post on that subreddit calling for anyone that knows anything about the identities of these guys. I mean, they didn't even try to obscure their identity or anything. It shouldn't be that hard to identify them. But there appears to be at least some sort of effort to attempt to prosecute the men responsible for vandalizing the California monolith. Now, this monolith in California is not on land managed by the BLM, so the whole legality of the thing is a little bit different than the one in Utah, and it's my understanding that California has more legal protections for all art installments and things like that. And because one of the theories about the monolith is that it could be an art installment, what the young men did is not only racist, but also vandalism of a piece of artwork if that were to go towards the case of prosecution. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not really sure what the art protection laws are exactly and things like that. Just kind of noting that there seems to be more of an effort to prosecute in this case than there was in the other one. But in the other case, when the Utah one disappeared, nobody knows what happened. There's no video of it going away. It was just kind of gone. And then this brings us to today, the day we're filming, December 4th. So the most famous artist community has officially taken credit for the monoliths. And there is some skepticism as to whether or not this claim is for realsies. A lot of it's because of how long that first monolith was in place, but who's to say? And we'll get into my thoughts about the whole thing in just a second. But first, I just want to talk about the origin theories, or at least a few of them. We're really just listing them. We're not going to go into much depth with them. So it seems like the most popular origin theories, at least according to the subreddit, are that the monolith came from aliens from outer space, so some sort of communication from beyond the galaxy, which I find fairly unlikely, but whatever, to each their own. Some sort of interstellar psychic telephone, which I'm not even going to expand on that very much because I'm not entirely sure what the hell that's supposed to mean, but I guess some sort of communication to the aliens, I suppose. A portal to hell, which is fascinating that that's a theory. There's some theory that it could be connected to the military, marking the location of some sort of underground base or something, which I find implausible, not because I don't think underground bases exist, but because why would you mark it with something that could be found on Google Earth and cause attention like that? But I digress there. There's also some idea that it could be some sort of memorial for like a friend that passed away in the wilderness, which, yeah, I guess, but why would it be a 10 or 12 foot tall metal pyramid thing? That seems a little strange to me. Now, it's not technically a pyramid. It's like this 3-sided column thing. I just keep calling it a pyramid because my brain sees 3 sides upright and goes pyramid, but it's not technically a pyramid. I'm just kind of clarifying that here because I keep saying that, but it's not. I just think geometry is evil, so we're going to call it a pyramid, but it's a monolith. And then the other 2 main theories that I've decided to mention here is that it's some sort of art installation. Oh, sorry, there's one more theory. I clearly can't count today either. So some sort of art installation, which is plausible that an anonymous artist would erect something like that in the desert and then just leave it to be discovered. I know that there's plenty of art pieces that happen like that and similar things, which I think that that's probably one of the more plausible theories, especially since it has been there for so long, or it was there for so long prior to it being removed. Some people have speculated that it could be a leftover movie prop. There are a lot of films that are shot out in the desert, especially the sci-fi flicks. And then it's also thought it could be some elaborate prank, which, yeah, that's plausible, especially since 2 more monoliths popped up within days of the first one being found. But who knows exactly what really happened. So my thoughts. This story is this is fascinating to me. I've been following this for a few days. Originally, I wasn't going to talk about it on the channel at all because I'm like, whatever, it's just a weird thing that happened in Utah. Utah is a weird place. But the more I read about it, the more fascinating it got and the more I kind of wanted to talk about it. Especially after the development from yesterday where the racist dudes decided to destroy the one in California because evidently they couldn't stand that there's an idea that it came from outer space through space aliens, which is like, really? Like, are certain people in the United States becoming so xenophobic that they can't even deal with a big metal monolith popping up, and one of the theories being that it came from outer space, that they had to go and just film themselves destroying it while saying racist shit and promoting this whole Christian nationalism thing, which is bizarre to me because it didn't even seem to have anything to do with this situation. But you know, if you're gonna be out there wearing your MAGA hat, which one of them was wearing MAGA stuff, that's not just being pulled out of my imagination. If you watch the video, you will see that. Like, I don't get it. Now, I don't have any skin in the game here. I don't feel any connection to this tower of metal, but that is one thing that really is so bizarre to me. Like, why would you care enough to do that? Why would a couple 100-pound chunk of metal offend you so much that you go do that? Were they just insecure about the sizes of their own monoliths? I don't know. But I digress on that point because I don't think I'll ever have those answers. I'm just like, what? Because I don't get it. I don't get it. If one of you guys can make me get it in the comments, please do. But I don't get it. So anyway, I'm also a little skeptical that the most famous artist community is responsible, at least for the first monolith, because of how long it was there without being noticed. Now, if it were some sort of elaborate art installation that wasn't really supposed to be a big thing, was just supposed to pop up and be discovered randomly, yeah, sure, artists are weird people. I love artists. That doesn't mean I think artists are less weird, but everyone's weird. And I mean, I'm bullied by 3 ducks, so I shouldn't really be one to talk. Now, it's more likely that if they are responsible for any of the monoliths, that they're responsible for the one in Romania and the one in Southern California, and they're capitalizing off of it. Now, it is possible that they constructed it years ago and was just waiting for discovery to really do anything. I don't know. Like, frankly, if they're saying they're responsible for it, sure, whatever, you're responsible for it. But I mean, you guys go to their Instagram and their website and figure it out for yourself. I'm taking their claim with a grain of salt here, just because I don't know. They have like photos of the supposed installation and stuff, but at the same time, personally, I don't care one way or the other, but whatever. My last real thought on this whole thing is that I'm a little concerned about installing these massive metal monoliths in the wilderness. Like, I don't know if the people that installed them took precautions to protect against destroying sensitive habitats while they were doing it. Had the 2 monoliths that have disappeared or been destroyed not disappeared or been destroyed, it's possible that way too many tourists could like pop out, and again, habitat destruction, because they are kind of in the wilderness. And also, like, the Utah monolith is in the freaking desert. So even if you're going to hike out there in the winter, you can still get hurt. There are still challenges. You can still get stranded. And a lot of people that do this whole weird Instagram thing where they want to go to the next weird thing to get the perfect selfie for their story and blah, 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 they're not always going to be the most prepared to hike out into the wilderness to go do that, because people are dumb. And I'm not trying to just generalize people that post on Instagram. I post dumb shit on Instagram all the time. I'm just saying, in general, Homo sapiens, the extant human species, are dumb. But the problems with that are a little like, whatever at this point, they're like disappearing. But I am concerned that there are going to be copycats popping up in places like that. I am concerned that it's going to spark things of that nature. possible habitat destruction, possible artist communities trying to capitalize off of something that's kind of a little bit of a sensation right now, and possible racists with monolith complexes of their own aside. I mean, this story is fascinating. I don't necessarily have major feelings one way or another. It's just something that's been interesting to keep up with. Now again, I'm going to remind you that this video was filmed on the 4th of December, so by the time it goes live, by the time you see this, with the way news in this story has been going, there's probably going to be another development that's not in this video. I apologize, but I mean, really, it's just bizarre and fascinating. So go ahead, check it out yourself. Check out the subreddit is probably the first place I would go, just because there's a lot of news. There's that nice timeline with a lot of links to look at, and generally I do think that Reddit is a bit of a cesspool, but I do think that most of the internet is a bit of a cesspool, but that subreddit is fairly delightful and just bizarre. But like bizarre in a good way. But this is all I really have for you today. I just thought it was kind of interesting and I needed to talk about it, and I couldn't know this on my own, so now I share it with all of you. So please do remember to like, comment, subscribe. Please comment on this one. I do actually want to know what people are thinking on this subject, and again, if you can make me understand the thing about why those guys decided to destroy it, please do, because that's just, I feel like that's gonna occupy my thoughts for a while. I'm not sure if I'm okay with that or not, but I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, what have you, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and ring that bell if you would like to see more. And if you'd like to follow me on any of my other social medias, the links are down in the description below. Don't forget to check out thereptilegoth.com for all of my articles and blog posts. If you found any value in this video and you would like to help support the channel, please check out my Patreon page. That link is also in the description down below. And a special thanks goes out to my Diamond Dragon patron, Diane B. What you're doing is really helping me fund a dream here. I will see you guys all in the next one.